Alrighty, we are on the eve of divisional weekend in the NFL, and I always check to see if I'm recording. Yes, I am. Divisional weekend in the NFL, and so I am joined by Vaughn Booker from Florida, but formerly a Kansas City Chief, and the Chiefs play tomorrow, first game. So this is all exciting. But you have some Winnipeg roots, Vaughn.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's where my professional career started, right
Mhm.
there. I remember the snow and everything. So
Yeah, you were here from 92 to 92 to 93, so you experienced were you part of that Grey Cup run that
oh yeah,
versus the Stamps? Yeah.
we went to the Grey Cup both of my years up there.
Hmm.
We lost both of them unfortunately, but yeah, I had a great career in Winnipeg. We're great. That was the first time I've ever seen people leave their doors unlocked. So you know, and everybody I met, they were so friendly. I've been to a couple of people's houses where, they loaded me down with the pierogies and everything. So I remember all that.
Well, that's good, right? And this is the thing. And Winnipeggers are hard on themselves. And this is recording, and I don't care. I think there's a lot of good. There's literally good home cooking in Winnipeg. There's a lot of good stuff that happens here and in Winnipeg, and it is kind of the place to be. It's all the ex-bombers I've on here. We love our time in Winnipeg. So what was kind of some of those other things that you loved about Winnipeg, Vaughn?
I mean, just the camaraderie of my teammates. It was the first time that, obviously being on the professional team, I never experienced drinking beer at halftime. That was new. So, it was a little adjustment, lining up a yard off the ball and everything. That was some adjustment getting to. I'll tell you the weirdest thing that happened to me because nobody told me, when I got to Canada was when we punt the ball to them, they can catch it and kick it back to us. Boy, I about freaked out on that one. I'm like, what the fuck you doing? That got to be a penalty.
Yeah, yeah, most definitely, right? And there's all those nuances with the Canadian game. There's the motion. Yeah, as I say,
Yeah,
there's the no yards. There's the bigger field.
right.
So what were kind of some of your first impressions, more or less, of it?
Well, when I first got there, I was like, man, this is going to be boring because it was cold, even though it was like July. So, that was weird as hell. But like I said, when I got there, the city was it seemed like it was a small city.
Hmm.
And game day, even though it was like preseason, I couldn't even like where'd all these damn people come from? You know what I'm saying? But the longer I was there, the more I enjoyed it. Me and my teammates, we hung out with a lot of locals, and they took us to a place I think it used to be called the Crazy Horse or the Palomino.
Yeah, the
Palomino,
the Palomino Club. Yes.
yeah. So we used to go to that, and then a lot of restaurants used to give us free food. I remember what was it, the Viscount Gord Hotel?
Viscount Gord, right just outside
Yeah,
of Polo Park Mall. Yeah.
it's amazing that I'm remembering these things, all the concussions I've had. But
So
yeah, I had some good times there, man. I got engaged to my first wife there.
Mhm.
When I say first, there's multiples. But
so
no,
so you're saying she was from Winnipeg then?
oh no, she was from Cincinnati. My hometown is just,
Oh, okay.
once I got to Winnipeg,
Yeah.
you know, paid the team and felt like, at least I got a paycheck for 1 year.
Right.
Got to do it while I got a little change in my pocket. But
Yeah. Yeah,
but I became
definitely.
one of the starters up there. We had a great team, great leaders on the team, and Greg Battle and Matt Donegan and those guys, and my roommates, Frank Pillow and Mike Richardson were my roommates when I was up there. So
Okay.
those were some cool guys. I felt very privileged to be amongst those cool offensive players.
Yes.
Big book hang with them. So, but yeah, my experiences up there were all positive. I had no negative time up there. Like I said, the people of Winnipeg were like just as friendly as I've ever. Like I've only seen people do that on TV. Like so. Like where I'm from, they just don't come up and just be nice and invite you to their house. And
Right.
our kicker, can't remember his name, was kind of a long. I think it started with D, then a J, then a K. It was no vowel to like the fourth letter or something, But I can't really remember his name. But he took me to their cabin. Man, it was so far out. I thought I was being set up. But I had a great time. We got there at nighttime. I couldn't see nothing. Woke up that morning on the lake. And again, I thought I was in a movie. You know what I'm saying? So the experiences was like all my first happened in
Hmm.
Winnipeg as far as like just being out on my own. Cause before that I was in the military, you
Right.
know. Yeah, it was just a great experience, man. I think about Winnipeg a lot. I still got some friends that are up there, Big Walby and those guys. So I think Richardson is still in Canada.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think
know
he is. Yeah.
when is he still in Winnipeg?
I'm not for certain, but I think he is in Winnipeg, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah. So, my thing is I try to keep up. If not for anything, just, check in on Winnipeg here and there, see how those guys are doing. And Winnipeg is Winnipeg.
Mhm.
They got a tradition there. The fans love them. They got a great fan base, like no other. You know what I'm saying? So went to my first hockey game, went to a Jets game there. My first and only. Like I'm 57 now. I ain't never been back.
So you were at the old arena, so you would have seen Solani maybe. Well, Solani was 93, so did you see him in his rookie year, Solani?
I didn't know not one player.
Okay, goal number 13 he would have been.
Yeah, I didn't know nobody. I think they invited a couple of players to come to their games. They came to our game, so they was like, "Hey, if you ever want to come," I was like, "Yeah, I'll go to one."
Yeah.
Never been to one, wanted to experience it. Had a great time. They were playing the Red Wings
Hmm.
or the Red somethings. Am I saying that right?
Yes, you are. Detroit Red Wings.
All right, yeah. So and they won. So it was a
Yeah.
good night. Hung out with some of those players. Again, I didn't know who I was hanging out with, but it was good to hang out with some more professional, players. That was
Right.
real cool.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah,
they
most definitely. What was that
way
last part?
I was saying they was making way more money than me.
Yeah. Yeah, and now they make way no. Well, yeah, it's called inflation. Uh, so yeah, so and then how did that kind of transition to your NFL career? You played in some pretty historical franchises, and we can go back to Winnipeg, but you played with the Chiefs, you played in Green Bay, so you've played with Mike Holmgren, and you played with Murray Schottenheimer. Bill Cowher was the defensive coordinator. You played with Derek Thomas, Neil Smith. So I
Right.
mean, that's like holy smokes, like
Yeah, well,
that's
I had a 3-year contract with the Bombers. So,
okay.
and like I said, we went to the Grey Cup both of my first 2 years. So, I'm just getting ready to come back to camp, and my agent called me and was like, "Hey, I got some good news and some bad news. What you want first?" I
Hmm.
was like, "Well, shit, give me the bad news." You know, he was like, "Well, you're not going back to Winnipeg." And I'm like, "Ain't no way they cutting me." You know what I'm saying? Like I had 2 great years there, in my opinion. So, I didn't understand what he was about to say. He was like, "Well, the reason I ain't going back there is because Kansas City bought out my last year of my contract of the Bombers, and that's how I got into the NFL camp." And then, once I got to camp, I was just hungry. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't drafted. These guys were coming in and they were all buffed and they already got money in their pocket. They paid me $10,000 to be there. And I thought I was like a first round draft pick in my head. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
once camp started, I just played as hard as I could. Had some good to great preseason games, and I made the team. So,
Nice.
and once I made that team, my next goal was to become a starter.
Hmm.
And then that kind of happened early on in my rookie season. Unfortunately, our defensive end hurt his knee. Darren Mickle hurt his knee, and I was called up. And once I became a starter, I was like, I'm not giving this back. I like the feeling. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then just financially, it made sense to keep me as opposed to him because he was making a lot more than I was, and they had me for a couple of more years on a budget, basically. So yeah, I had 4 great years there. We went to the playoffs. I think every year I was there. And then one day I was driving home from the facilities in the off season. It's like my fourth year going into my fifth. And I'm on my way home and I get a call in my truck. And it's like, my truck usually don't ring because I have another phone just for like everybody else. So when my truck phone rang, I was like, just hit the button like, hello. He's like, hey, Vaughn Booker. I was like, yeah, who's this? He's like, Mike Hungry. We just traded for you. I was like, man, stop playing with me. I ain't got time for this. So I hung up on him. Right? So he calls back and I'm like, I don't know who this is playing on my phone. You know how you got this number. Stop playing on my phone. Click. So now I'm driving about another mile. Phone ring one more time. And I'm like, look, you call here again. I don't know what I'm due to. I don't even know who you are, but I'm about to cut you out or whatever. But and he was like, no, Vaughn, book this Schottenheimer. I was like, hey, what's up, coach? He's like, yeah, I just want to say, we really enjoy having you here, but you've been traded. We traded you to the Green Bay Packers. And I was like, wow, I didn't even know how to take that because, I'm a starter and I just didn't even see that coming. So once that happened, I go home, tell my wife, like, hey, I just got traded to Green Bay and I got to be there in like 2 days. Right. And like my kids in school, we got a whole house and everything. So it was like I just had to leave them, go to Green Bay, which, if I had to be traded to any team, I'm glad it was a team that was, a winning organization, good organization, almost equal to Kansas City, I would say, as far as organization. But they have a great fan base, but I just can't see anybody compare it to the Kingdom. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just a whole another spectrum of fandom. So, but yeah, I got traded to Green Bay. Had 2 years there. Was able to play with Brett Favre and one of my heroes, Reggie White. I want to go back to Kansas City. My first quarterback was Joe Montana when I first got there. So I'm like, man, I'm playing with people I actually grew up watching. My running back was Marcus Allen. I'm like, man, I thought Mike Richardson was good. You know what I'm saying? I'm living out my dream.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, yeah, you must be pinching yourself. You bring up those names, right? And like, some of those playoff games come back to me, right? And uh, there was the game against the Colts and the game against the
Oh,
Ravens. And
the
again,
Lynn
not to
era.
bring up too much pain, but
Yeah, talking the Lynn Elliott era.
yes, yeah, I watched that. I want,
Yeah, I was there for that.
yeah,
He
uh
didn't. He
yes,
didn't even come back in the locker room.
no,
He,
okay.
he wore his uniform home.
Oh,
Like
really?
people were pissed. I mean, I was mad we didn't win the game, but I'm not gonna be mad at him. He made a lot of kicks for us that year.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, that's just how it goes.
It is.
But they was giving him hell though, boy. Woo-hoo. To this day, people still mad about that.
Yeah, I kind of equate it to the D4 Ford offside in the championship game. Uh,
Yeah, that was a hard one to watch, boy.
that was tough. So when you talk about the Kingdom, like I was there for a game in October of 2023 watching the Chargers, and I'm trying to take this all in. So as a player, you're on the field, you have those fans just coming down, and how the stadium is all configured. We're on the field the day before on a tour, and we're doing go cheat, and it comes back at you. You're like, what? Like, I'm in the jungle. Like, this is
Right.
unreal. I'm in the kingdom.
Hey, let me tell you, I remember my first start, right? And they was introducing the defense first. Thank God, So I'm pumped, and I'm the first one they gonna call, right? They starting with me. I was like, when I heard them say my name, dude,
Yeah.
I felt like I was running through the tunnel and out, like how you used to see on old NFL films, and they slow them up in slow motion. But I was running fast. I ran so fast to where I was tired before the game. Like I ran it like a sprint, right? And then thank God the offense started the game because I would have been tired as hell on that first drive. But yeah, Arrowhead is something different. I mean, I've never heard how a stadium can get so loud. You know what I'm saying? That was just if your hairs don't stand up on the back of your neck hearing them say Chiefs at the end,
Yeah.
you're not alive. You need to go get checked.
Yeah, you don't have that pulse, right? And
Right.
yeah, it is quite something. And yeah, I've seen stuff online that they're already waiting to at the tailgate, waiting to get
Oh,
in for
oh yeah.
tomorrow's game.
But
And
I'm gonna be long, long. We
yeah,
have the security even as alumni. Like I only go back for like alumni weekend,
hmm
and I went this past season. Yeah, and I think we played the Chargers somebody, but I didn't really see the game though because we was partying so much, and it was like so many old head players there. You know what I'm saying? Like we was kicking it.
yeah.
I seriously don't remember even seeing most of the game.
Well, I mean Matthew Wright doinking in, so that's how that went. Uh,
But man, it was cool though. I enjoy going back to Arrowhead every year. I go early enough to tailgate,
mhm.
you know, and because you got to experience that in itself. It's just unreal.
Yeah.
And they ain't out there making hot dogs and fried burgers. You know what I'm saying? I had lamb shank and all kind of shit. I was like, wow, y'all do it big out here, boy. Yeah,
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 yeah, it's not. We got there at 10:30 and the place is packed for the 3:30 game. We got our lawn chairs out. We're having a good old
yeah.
times. It was fun.
I
Uh
was for the game. I had
yeah.
to. They
Mhm.
had to bring a golf cart for me just to take me to the stadium from the tailgate. Because I was like, if I walk over there, I'm gonna be ready to go. And I'm 57. These bones hurt.
Yes.
I got 11 years of banging people in the head. I'm sore as hell today.
For sure. What are some of your memories of Derek Thomas? I have to ask.
Just a cool brother, man. He was one. Him and Neil Smith were the guys that kind of like under their wing. You know what I'm saying? The fact that I was a rookie, they didn't really treat me like a rookie because I had came from Canada. I had been in the military, so I was older than the average rookie. So they didn't treat me like a rookie. They just really was telling me how it is to be an NFL player on and off the field. You know what I'm saying? They was like, it's gonna be people that's gonna try to get at you for no reason. You got to keep your head on the swivel for things. And as far as football, take notes, write whatever the coaches are saying, like, but write it in the way you'll understand it. Like, use the words you'll use. And that was one of the most important things that I've ever gotten from Neil. Is like, don't write down what they're writing down. Write it down in the way that you're going to be able to explain it to yourself. And that was huge for me. The biggest thing Derek Thomas really showed me was how he used to get off so fast off the ball. And he was like, I don't go off the ball. I go off the quarterback hand. Once the hand do like that, he's leaving. He's like only quarterback that knew he was doing it was Elway. So he couldn't do it to Elway. But yeah, most of the time he taught me a lot of things, man. And he was just so cool. He was one of those guys that got all the players together. He had a whole nother house. You know what I'm saying? He'd be like, don't come to my regular house. Come to this house. All the players will be there, just barbecuing, hanging out, smoking cigars or whatever. But yeah, he's one of those good dudes, man. And when I heard that he
Hmm.
got in a car accident, I was just, I hated that happened. But I never thought it would, turn into what had happened.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And this DT, he gonna be all right. He gonna be down for a second.
Right. Yeah, because that's how he came across, right? And I remember
Yeah,
seeing that on the ticker after the NFC Championship game between the Rams and the Bucks. They were on their way to the airport. We all know the story.
yeah.
It's a documentary, and it's just yeah. And then September 8th or February 8th, it was oh wow. Um, and we're coming up on the 25th anniversary. It literally feels like yesterday in
Yeah.
some ways, right? So but yeah, thanks for sharing those insights. I mean, I know he had great impact on the community, and
Oh yeah,
you're
it's
still there.
out.
You see Derek Thomas jerseys.
Oh yeah, everywhere. People still love Derek Thomas. His foundation is still going well. Third and long. So I mean, he's been a great impact and still, has an impact on the city. The fans will never forget those eras that Derek Thomas was a part of. You know what I'm saying? He really was one of the guys that put Kansas City back on the map because Kansas City had disappeared for years. You know what I'm saying? They were good, then they had disappeared for years, and then they didn't come back until the Derek Thomas era.
Well, that's exactly it, right? And similar to when Reggie White came from
Yeah,
Philly in free agency, put Green Bay back on the map as well through all of that. So
yeah.
that's pretty neat and cool. The game, and then the one more Derek Thomas thing. The game he had, the sack record. I think that was in November of 1997.
That was no, he did that before I even got there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I got there in
Getting me
four.
years
So
confused.
yeah, well, I'm thinking because he didn't do it when I was there. I don't remember him setting a 7 sack record when I was there, but I knew he had it. Though.
Okay.
Yeah, that was. I mean, that's unbelievable.
It
You
is.
know,
Well, yeah, I mean, you compare it to the Vikings playoff game. I mean, Darnold got sacked 8 times, but it was multiple players. It wasn't just one guy. So
that,
that's perspective.
that tell you the playoffs, man. It's like starting a whole new season. You know what you did to get there,
Mhm.
great. The only thing it got you was the seed that you earned. But once the game starts, it's anybody's game. It's who wants it more, who's more prepared.
Hmm.
And those guys, they didn't think that they were going to get that much pressure on defense. And those they was coming from everywhere. You know what I'm saying? They took it. They took his spirit, and you
Hmm.
saw them like slowly die. Like we're not going to come back. This is not going to be a Mahomes, Jaden Williams, story at the end of this.
It's
We're,
it's definitely true. And with the Vikings there, I thought when they lost to Detroit, that was kind of it. I mean, if they would have won, would they be playing tomorrow or Sunday? So it can shift quickly in the NFL. I gotta ask you, can't forget about the other team you played for, the
my
Cincinnati Bengals.
hometown. Yeah, I'm from Cincinnati
Yeah,
originally,
it's
so
University of Cincinnati. So I mean, the whole Kelsey thing and all that,
yeah, yeah. I
and
mean,
Zach Collaros is from Cincinnati. So yeah, Dick Lambeau, who was the defensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers in Super Bowl 43, but Dick Lambeau did have a head coaching there with Cincinnati. So
yeah.
how was that playing in your hometown and all of that?
Well, the only reason I even signed with the Bengals was because my mom wanted to see me play football in person more. You know what I'm saying? She had been to a Chief game, been to a Packer game, but just one in those whole times that I've been there. So, the wife was ready to go home. I didn't think it was going to be a great idea. I love my family, but family be up on you, and I'm there to play football. I can't really do all that, hanging out and trying to appease everybody when I got to study my opponent, my individual player that I'm going against, the tackles. I got to study this guy, and it's just too many people hitting you from all angles. And she was like, "No, we just gonna have family supporters more, and we'll have a babysitter." I was like, "All right," because I was going to San Diego. Right, I'm thinking that's a no-brainer. We got the same money on the table. Let's go to San Diego. We just left cold ass Green Bay. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to play for Marty Schottenheimer again. So that's what I'm thinking. That's a no brainer. She wanted to go home. And yep, and I was right. That was the wrong decision. My first year there, we lost no, we only won 2 games.
Yeah.
And then our coach, Bruce Cosley, quit.
Yes.
I was like, man, this is not like Green Bay or Kansas City. It just felt so wrong. You know what I'm saying? But I was happy to play there because my family was able to see me. Like I said, my mom was able to see me,
Hmm.
and it's on my resume. I played in Cincinnati in my hometown. So, but out of the three, is in the order that I played for them.
The Green Bay
Everybody,
or
everybody,
let's say Arrowhead, Lambeau, and then you had Cincinnati. Any with Green Bay, any other memories from playing at Lambeau that would stick out to you? I've never been, but you got the Lambeau Leap going on. Uh,
yeah,
very historical, obviously. There's Holmgren Way, etc.
yeah. Like I said, they're almost equal as far as like the organization. They care about their players. They're very family oriented, and the fans they love their Packers. The Go Pack Go is just as important as home of the Chiefs, you know. But to see Brett Favre and things that he's done at a ground level was like incredible to watch. You know what I'm saying? And we did, at that time we really didn't have no other quarterbacks. Like we have several athletic quarterbacks like that today, but really Brett was really the only one that was doing it the way he was doing it.
Hmm.
So to see that on right at ground level, and then to have like one of my all-time favorite players, Locker, to be right next to me and Reggie White, and I could pick his ear whenever I wanted. You know what I'm saying? So to have all that, to the point where in off season we were over in Jamaica. I see Reggie over there at a like religious retreat. He baptized me. He baptized me. Actually, it was in the Bahamas because we were at what's that big pink hotel? You
I'm
know,
gonna be there. Yeah, I'm gonna be there in a few months. So
yeah, yeah. He baptized me in one of those fountains. I was like, man, and I still got a picture of that. I wish I had it right now. My stomach was out and everything. But yeah, Green Bay was awesome, man. It was cold, but it wasn't as cold as Winnipeg. So people thought something was wrong with me because I would like not have a coat on because I was still like kind of freezing from even playing 4 years with Kansas City. I still remember Winnipeg cold. That's
yeah,
a whole different cold.
it is. And when the Chiefs
Oh,
beat the Dolphins last year, they equated that to the
oh
West Final in 2021, December 5th game. Everything was moved back because of COVID. That was freezing. That was like -20. Like, get out of here. Like, that was nuts cold.
yeah, I bought a car up there when I was in Winnipeg, boy, and it still had. And I got it back to Cincinnati, and I bought it for my wife. She was like, "What's this plug?" I was like, "You ain't got to worry about it. It don't get that cold here." I'm like, but yeah,
Well, Cincinnati. That's kind of further down, right? It's Pittsburgh,
um,
Columbus, and then
we're called considered Midwest, but we more towards the east. Like we're right above Kentucky.
yes, yeah,
You know, uh, it gets cold. We have winters, we have snow, but
right,
you know, and I've been real cold in Cincinnati, but I have never been colder than that until I got to Winnipeg,
yeah.
and like I felt violated.
Well, it's a good thing you weren't here for the '91 Grey Cup. They had actually moved that up to the daytime because if they would have played that at night, I mean, it would have been game over. It was that cold, and it's crazy. I went skating with my son in between football games last week, and I get back in the car, and I'm only out there for an hour, and I went in to warm up, and I'm driving home, and I can't even feel my feet. I'm
Mm,
like,
yeah,
maybe I should jump in the hot tub. Like, it's like, I've grown up here my entire life, but it was like, holy smokes, it was just kind of one of these things. Even at almost 46, I'm like, maybe I should be wearing.
I don't know how you do that. Like if I was from there, as soon as I became an adult, I would have had at least go somewhere for a couple of years that was warm, just
Right.
because of the I can. Before I had to be here. Now I don't.
Right. Yeah.
I'll come back and visit.
Yes. Well, speaking of Orlando, we went there a few years ago at the Disney World there, and we went to the beach the one day, and then by the end, like, yeah, we were all peeling. It was a pretty bad scene. It was a different type of hot. It was
Yeah,
so, but that's how it goes. Um, how I kind of want to get your thoughts, maybe a bit on the games this weekend. How do you see the games shaping up?
I think it's going to be a very competitive game. With starting off with the Chiefs, you asked me who's going to win. I'm gonna say the Chiefs. I just believe that. I believe that the time off is really going to help us. I think a lot of people were worried that most teams that have that much time off come back rusty, but I know Andy, I know our guys. You know what I'm saying? They know what's at stake. I know D Hop want to get to just experience the win of this game.
Right.
So I know they're going to be ready. They healthy. They rested. They've been preparing. Look, they might even reached out to Eric Bieniemy. You know what I'm saying? And
Well, he
got
got fired from his job, so he had time, right?
just because I've always thought, as much as I like our offensive coordinator, I always thought it was EB that was coming up with those special plays. And I think ever since he's been gone, and we still try to do those once in a while. They're not as pretty as they used to be. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So I think if we can get EB back, that'll be special. But I got Kansas City winning this game. I think CJ Stroud is a great quarterback. They got some great wide receivers that's going to make some plays. But I think our defense is going to match their defense, which their defense does get after the quarterback. We're going to be more prepared. We're going to make less mistakes. You know what I'm saying? My only concern would be our left tackle. I love the fact that Tooney was out there. I think we should keep him there. You know what I'm saying? Even though Humphreys is supposed to be healthy, I think he should back up Tooney in case something happened to Tooney, then bring Humphreys in.
Right.
Other than that, I think we'll be ready. The game, who plays after that?
It would be Washington and Detroit.
I got to go with Detroit on that one, just
Okay.
because that head coach Dan Quinn, like, he fires me up. You know what I'm saying?
I mean
So,
Campbell.
oh yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I
Boy,
mean it's the two downs, but
that guy fires me up. He got them boys ready. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's going to be Detroit and Kansas City in the Super Bowl.
I predicted that in August myself.
Yeah, I think they're gonna go out there. They're gonna be dominant this game. They're gonna be at home. I really don't think there's gonna be an exciting game from Jaden like he's been having recently. I don't think he's gonna be on the field as much. I think their defense is gonna really contain him, and offensively they just got too many weapons. They come at you from all angles. So
Yeah,
and
yeah. Go ahead.
no, I was gonna switch to the next game. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, my concern is, I mean, they are a bit, the defense is a bit weak with not having Adrian Hutchinson in there and that sort of thing. But I mean, you had Dan Campbell going for it on an onside kick versus Buffalo. You have to tell them that you're doing it. Only a 7% chance of getting it. So
Right.
but that game versus Minnesota kind of showed me, okay, maybe Glenn has something cooking up here. So maybe I'm not as worried.
No, it shouldn't be. I think it's gonna be a dominating game by Detroit.
Okay, fair enough. And then we have the Rams and the Eagles at 3 o'clock Eastern on Sunday.
This one, surprisingly, I have more equal than most people have. You know, the Eagles being more dominant. I think both quarterbacks are great quarterbacks. They bring their talents in a different way, but they get almost the same results. You know what I'm saying? So I think they're equal there offensively. I think they're equal except for the running back position. You know what I'm saying? Saquon Barkley is just phenomenal this year. I don't know how they talked him out of not going for that record. You couldn't have talked me out of that one. Not being that close.
No, exactly. I
Uh,
was kind of stunned too. Yeah,
yeah, that was weird. But overall, I think the Eagles will pull it out though, just because they're at home, aren't they at home?
they're at home.
Yeah, just because they're at home, I think that's going to be really the biggest advantage, and their running back. So I'm gonna go with the Eagles.
Okay. I mean, they hammered them in the regular season, so um, they were rusty, but I do see the Eagles pulling through as well. And then the nightcap, Bills
Boys,
versus Ravens. This is nuts because well, it just is.
I think it's going to be a toss up. You know what I'm saying? I mean, both of these quarterbacks are incredible. They both can run the ball. I mean, nobody runs it like Lamar, but I mean, Josh, to be as big as he is, he runs very well for his team, and he knows when to run. You know, that man to man, and he got everybody's back turned to him. He gone, and I just think it's going to be a great game all the way around. But I think the cold weather, even though Baltimore gets cold weather, I think that's going to be a factor, and the fact that the mafia, that Buffalo Mafia mania, whatever they call it, but those guys, they get loud with it. You know what I'm saying? Let's go Buffalo. I was like, man, I didn't even have surround sound on. You know what I'm saying? I felt like I was in the stadium.
Yes.
Yeah, they get pretty loud with that one.
Hmm.
But I'll give it to Buffalo, a slight edge, maybe by 3 to 7 points.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. I mean, if the game's in Baltimore, we all saw what happened earlier this year. Different story. Uh, you do have Derrick Henry on the other side. I think it's going to be a ratings bonanza for the NFL.
Yeah, sure. I'm
There's not
glad.
a reason not to watch these games.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's must watch TV, and if you're not doing that, I know it's not everybody's deal, but if you say you're a football fan, you need to be watching.
Right. And I love the fact that Chiefs are playing first because I want to win, get that out the way. Now I can
Right,
really relax and watch the other three games.
right. Not waiting for a Tyler Bass miss field goal like last year.
Right, right.
Yeah, that's all. I was at my in-laws last year watching that, and I PVR'd it because my wife goes, "I don't want to watch to the end of the game." And then I came home and they went downstairs and were watching, and then they videotaped me. I can send you if I find that I can send that to you.
Hold
My
hold up.
reaction, it's like, "Oh, he missed it."
I all that, but I'm still trying to figure out what PVR means.
PVR, you're just recording and then watch at a later time. It's
I
better than
got
putting into the VCR, so to speak. So I will be PVRing the game a bit tomorrow. I do work on the weekends, so um, yeah. So I will be getting off a bit early to watch, so it'll be exciting. And then after the games, I'm going to go live on my Facebook page with my buddy in the Pacific time zone, so it'll be good. Um, how
you.
much more time do you have on?
She already gave me the look.
Okay. Okay. Um, we can always have part two because there's always other stuff I had on my. I always make some notes, but it's all good. Um, any last comments here before we
I
say
just,
goodnight?
I just want to reiterate the fact that I had a great time in Winnipeg,
Mhm.
and again, those guys, those people up there were like some of the nicest people I've ever met in my life till this day. And I want to say thank you to everybody that supported me up there because it started my whole career, and I was able to do two there and nine in the NFL, and it was all because of how I went down in Winnipeg. So thanks to
Awesome. It's so good to hear. Love it. It's great. Well, thanks, Vaughn, for making the time, especially in
yeah,
the Eastern time zone. Enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy the games, and as I always say to everybody, most people, I'd like to say, God bless.
God bless, bro. Y'all take care now.
All right. Bye bye.